So how do we contact your allies?
To contact the Cadmador Agent, I must light a candle at a specific spot in a more remote part of the ruined fortress during the night.
And then?
Then, we wait for him to show up.
Good. I'll gather my men.
It's better to take only a small group. Too many people might scare the contact away.
No problem.
Are you certain that you're up for this? If we commit to the plan, we should expect a long night of standing around, I'm afraid.
I brought my comitatus to one of the most remote places in the world. I can wait a whole night. Once the team is ready, we wait for night to fall and cover the jagged ruins in a blanket of shadows. Only then do I give the order to proceed. We cross the ruins, passing campfires and tents and shacks, until the muffled noises of the camp are far behind, and at length we reach the part of forlorn Fort Refugees, where nobody treads. Finndurarth lights a single large candle and places it on top of a broken plinth. Then we all squat down among the ruined wall sections and wait. Eventually, the sorceress sits next to me and we fall into conversation. She expresses her doubts about this whole mission, as well as her role in it.
I mean, we're literally at the end of the world, trying to talk to someone who has very little reason to trust us. All this because my ego could not handle allowing others to deal with the issue. And I'm also guilty for keeping most of it from you, Vagrus. You, who helped me most of all, starting with saving my life.
You did what you thought was right, not out of ego.
You're right, and I can't change any of that now. I don't know. I was not supposed to be handling this, you know? Not this early. Not by myself.
You've done well so far. The proof is that you've changed since our first meeting. Finndurarth thinks about what I said and is about to say something, but then someone notices movement out among the twilit ruins. I strain my eyes in the oppressive, mute darkness, but the only movement is produced by the dancing candlelight. Or is someone standing by that pillar? There is a twang. I lunge at Finndurarth and shove her to the side so the crossbow bolt aimed at her head misses and scrapes my shoulder. Wincing from the pain that shoots up my arm, I fall to my knees. None of the others have time to react, however, because the next moment they jump me, grim-faced hired killers, brandishing cruel weapons.
Are you all right?
As the first light of dawn paints the ruins grey, the assassins clash with my companions. With the element of surprise, one of the assassins charged, but Gorgoro dodged him, giving Renkailon an opening to strike. The latter were agile and precise, but my men were as well, and many blows struck only empty air. At last, Gorgoro managed to draw blood, just as an arrow pierced Garrick's arm. An electric spell caught 3 of the assassins off guard, allowing Renkailon to strike his target. 2 of the assassins saw Renkailon as a threat and targeted him, but he evaded every attack and trick they threw at him. Another tried to fire an arrow at him, but in vain. Gorgoro was slightly wounded by the Calrish's charge before striking back, then watched his opponent be electrocuted. Renkailon was caught by surprise by one of the elves, followed closely by Gorgoro, before Renkailon struck back. Having closed the distance, Garrick fired at point-blank range before Finndurarth's lightning struck 2 assassins, whom Gorgoro finished off with a mighty swing of his axe. Isolated but still dangerous, my companions surrounded him and struck whenever an opening presented itself. The latter managed to climb atop one of the ruined columns and fired. Renkailon tried to dislodge him, but only succeeded in getting shot himself. In the end, Garrick shot him in the head, sending him falling from his column. Just as the last assassin falls, I spot a man standing a stone's throw away from me, aiming a crossbow at Finndurarth. Definitely the same man as the sharpshooter from before. But just before he could pull the trigger, a throwing dagger out of nowhere hits him in the eye. He collapses like a heap of rags, twitching as he dies. An unassuming-looking figure, in dark brown and grey garb, steps out of the shadows, face hidden behind a large cowl.
Follow me. There could be more. I'll hide you.
The quiet voice belongs to a man. He begins to pick his path among the crumbling pillars, broken wall sections, and faded stonework. Yet, I have the feeling I've heard this voice before. Why did you help us, quiet man?
I will answer in due time. For now, let's get back to your comitatus, where we'll be safe and unseen.
Once back at the comitatus, the quiet man sits down to talk to me, taking big swigs from his canteen every once in a while.
The assassins you ran afoul of were hired by an unknown party to waylay anyone trying to contact the Cadmador Agent. I couldn't let them succeed.
Do you know who the agent is?
Of course I do. It is I. Not many are privy to the knowledge, but there it is. I work for Cadmador, gathering news and information for them here at the edge of what is known and what is not.
Finndurarth wants to speak, her eyes sparkling with hope, but the quiet man holds up his right hand to prevent her.
Let us talk about why you've sought me during the day in my hut. Not only is it the safest place for clandestine conversation, even masked against most forms of magical scrying, but I want to make it back before most of the camp awakens so that they won't connect me to the botched attempt at the lady's life. Besides, in a few hours, the dead assassins will be found by their cronies, and that'll make them second-guess their decisions. I'd say you'll be safe here for a long while now.
With that, the quiet man rises, dons his cowl, and sneaks out of my camp. After only a few hours of sleep, we head with Finndurarth toward Quiet Man's hut. The Quiet Man listens to Finndurarth's detailed account of what happened up until now, including the death of Hathardos, the ambush at Kernak, and the investigation of the Corneus Serpentis that ended with their downfall.
And so you can understand why I have to get to the conclave. I suspect that you know where it will be held.
A heavy silence descends on the small room, only broken by the subtle noise as the quiet man's delicate fingers drum on the table.
I know who you are and who your masters are, lady. And I'll relate what you've told me to my superiors, but I'm afraid I'm not the one to aid you with the conclave, not directly at least.
But you helped us against the assassins.
Even I do not know where the meeting of the envoys was to take place, for the sake of security. If you want to help these ogres, however, you could help Cadmador and your Dragonlands by finding them and bringing them to us.
What do you mean? Have you lost them?
They were also targeted by assassins, and I heard recently that they went to ground. Only a select few know where they could be, but no agent has the means to bring them in safely.
I really didn't want to make a target out of myself or the Vagrus. But it has to be done.
I understand.
So where are they?
I said that only a few agents are privy to that. Not that I have the information.
So why?
But an operative called Nara and Crystal was to coordinate their arrival across the searing plains. If anybody knows where they are, it is her. She works out of the stained awning, a watering hole.
May the flame guide us to her then.
One moment. I would like to gather a bit more information before pursuing this objective. I have contracts, obligations, and a curse to lift if I don't want my entire comitatus reduced to ashes. When is your meeting scheduled? 1 week? 1 month? 3?
From what I understand, this meeting doesn't really have a fixed date. It will begin once the key individuals are present at the meeting point. I would say the sooner, the better. But sometimes haste is not the best course of action.
That's all I needed to know. The two of us duck out of the shack. She is silent for a while, as we make our way back to the comitatus across the ruins.
It seems like a setback, all right, but now that I think about it, it's a step up from hunting assassins. At least we have warned our allies, and now have the envoys to find. So we're one important step closer to making the conclave actually happen. Perhaps there was a point to all the danger and all the sacrifices.
She is visibly galvanized by the prospect of saving the envoys. My supplies force me to make a detour toward what many call the Last Oasis. My walk around the outpost takes me back to the spacious area in the shade of tall palm trees that was set aside to be the Statio, where my comitatus is also camped. I talk to the Sadrivar who run the place, and they point me to one of the huts when I ask to see someone in charge. Once there, I announce myself outside, and in a moment or two, a husky but feminine voice invites me inside. I duck in through the low doorway, and it takes my eyes a minute to adjust to the darkness.
Welcome to the Last Oasis, traveler. I am called Dhuzani. The people in the oasis are under my protection.
The accent identifies the speaker as Dhuzani, and then, just as my eyes become accustomed to the twilight, she steps in front of me. My host is revealed to be a woman with a striking appearance. Tall, slender, handsome, dark-skinned, with a gaze that pierces the soul. Her headdress is a crest of colorful feathers, and she holds a quarterstaff heavy with tribal trinkets, carved to look like a snake. Once I introduce myself and state my business, her stature relaxes some, and she nods her head.
You will find that this place can be a sanctuary to those who respect its independence, as well as the freedom of other travelers. My magic prevents the recent sandworm invasion to spread here, but it should also discourage anyone else with ill intent. If you have come to deal in rarities and curios, come to me. You will find everything else at our small market.
What do you mean by sandworm invasion?
You're not aware? An invasion is sweeping across much of the desert. You're lucky you haven't come across any.
Thank you for the information.
You're welcome.
Could you tell me a bit about yourself? Dhuzani explains to me that she is a mage priest of Shalimi, the religion of her homeland.
We sorceresses are also spiritual leaders, at least in the coastal cities. The shamans perform that role for the jungle-dwelling tribes. But I could not find my place at home. The spirits called to me, so I traveled far in search of my destiny. But the Imperials were not very supportive of my journey. You might have heard that our people are not exactly on the best of terms ever since they tried to subjugate Dhuzani. Long story short, I have a bounty on my head. I came here, far from Imperial territory, and found a measure of peace at last. The Sadira took me in, and nobody has come to collect the bounty. One day I plan to return home, bringing with me all the knowledge I gathered during my extensive travels. But that day is still far away.
Could you tell me more about Dhuzani?
Dhuzani is a land far, far away, occupying the peninsula on the northeast corner of the continent. It is called the Land of Endless Rain, an exaggeration for us Dhuzanians, but certainly quite shocking to someone more used to the arid realms beyond our borders.
Dhuzani smiles to herself as she recalls her distant homeland.
The cities on the coast are a sight to behold. The setting sun paints the huge ziggurats blood red, and the larger boog lamps dance gently with the azure backdrop of the twilight sea beyond. The sorceresses lead our people with wisdom and patience, but firmly too, stepping up to any challenge that arises. At least that's how it was until the Imperials took over Dhuzani. They were driven out, more by attrition than anything else, but everybody expects them to return one day. There is bad blood between them and us.
Where did you learn magic?
I was trained to be a sorceress by the order of Cadmador Shah, mage priests who understand and control Shah, the true essence of the world. Once I finished my initial decade of learning and practicing magic, I was taken on as an apprentice by the great Dhuzani and completed my tutelage under her wings. She taught me how to live, how to die, how to fight, how to think, how to lead, and how to control Shah to protect others. But I admit that the more practical arts I learned can be put to use more often, like alchemy, divinations, protective charms, and even destructive spells.
Could you tell us a bit more about your knowledge of alchemy? Dhuzani invites me and Finndurarth to participate in her current brewing endeavors after a short but intriguing exchange about the art of alchemy. I spend some time discussing her latest discoveries and recipes, then help her finish a fresh cauldron of antidote. Dhuzani pours it into flasks and gives me 2 as a gift.
I can't help but notice that you use magic quite frequently.
The 2 sorceresses hit it off right away and spend the next hour or so talking excitedly about magical phenomena, the nature of the universe, the ultimate truth, souls, spirits, and all kinds of things that I find surprisingly revealing, not just about the 2 of them, but about the world around me too. What do you think of the Sadira spirit faith?
At first glance, Shalimi and Sadira's spirit faith are fairly similar. Moreover, even Orcish spirit faith could be included there. We all believe in similar things, that spirits inhabit our mortal coils, but after the failure of these shells, the spirits or souls keep existing. Some pass on, others remain behind. But Orcish beliefs stop there and have little concern for spiritual creatures of different nature. The Sadira go further, recognizing nature spirits and communing with them, essentially bestowing human-like intelligence to beings of energy and thought. Shalimi, however, considers everything to be of the spiritual world. Matter, energy, souls, even time come from the same source, the essence that makes up reality. We call it Shah. This source transforms into everything we can experience around us, and also into a lot of things that we can never understand. We are all one thing, creation manifesting, trying to comprehend itself. For this reason, a balance must be maintained. Not just balance between nature spirits or between nature and mortals, but also in us, in our souls. When Shah is corrupted, all creation suffers.
Tell me a bit about this oasis.
This oasis is pretty much exactly as it appears. It is so remote that nobody lives here for any longer period of time, except for some outcasts such as yours truly, and the tireless Sadira who are the keepers of the place. And they are just honest folk, mostly interested in growing plants and cultivating orchards. The Last Oasis is surely much too ominous a name if you ask me.
What kind of plants grow around here?
There's been a lot of experimenting with various crops and fruit under my watch. Come with me.
She guides us outside, behind the hut, and shows us her own garden. It is replete with all sorts of rare herbs, as well as bogweed, around which lines of small bushes laden with fist-sized blue berries sit. I know this bushes, Iyabwi.
That correct. Not easy to cultivate in this climate, but a little growth magic goes a long way. I love the taste of it, reminds me of home. I have bushels upon bushels of the thing in one of the harvest sheds, freshly picked. Way too much for us here. Please, take it off my hands. I wouldn't want it to go to waste.
I thank her for the kindness and call my comes to take some of the fruit back to the comitatus. Once my crew carries off the gift, I and the Dhajmahan mystic return to her hut. Tell me, as a practitioner of the arcane, would you happen to have any magical items?
Of course, take a look.
I took some medicinal herbs from her, along with a lizard specialized in water detection. As I was about to move on from the rest, Finndurarth pointed out 2 other items to me, most notably a luck talisman. I thank you for your time and your advice.
You too, Vagrus.
As I arrived at the market, I could already see Garrick finalizing the deal to restock our supplies. Next stop, Larnac.